Okay, for this video, I want to talk about something which I have dubbed progressive deception. And I've called it this because it's the process by which people of faith grow to ignore the cognitive dissonance that they encounter on the way to believing. And if you're a little confused by this, consider the problems that Christians have. They label them problems of lack of faith and things like that, but often Christian pastors will talk to their flocks about how sometimes it's difficult to keep the faith, especially in the face of worldly problems such as evil and sickness and the lack of the effect of prayer and murders and those sort of things. And you'll see Christians, even though they already accept the edicts and rules of Christianity, they will remain somewhat cognitively aware of how little sense it makes. And so they start out with weak faith, and they keep questioning every day, how can God be loving when all this has happened to me and the people around me, and there's wars, and there's so much unnecessary suffering. And they just keep questioning and questioning until they talk to other Christians. And what other Christians will tell them is that you just have to trust in God. You have to forget all of your reasoning, all of your ability to reconcile things using logic, and you have to just let God do it. You have to acknowledge that you and your judgment mean nothing, and that God and his judgment, whatever that may be, it's never really clearly explained, is all there is. And so people start out, even when they're Christians, thinking logically, and then slowly they slip into this this point in their lives where they start to ignore the blatant cognitive dissonance of what they believe. And they start out trying to justify God's actions, and they can't. And then they need more confirmation bias and more reinforcement in their ridiculous beliefs, like God is all good. And they get to the point where it's just been reinforced so many times that they don't even try to solve problems that they find. They just say, oh, well, I guess that's just what God did, and since I'm nothing and God's everything, that must be how it is. And it's very sad when people are lowered to this level, because they can't even let their own humanity come into play when they're trying to figure out whether or not God is evil or what the nature of God is, because they won't even let themselves think about it. The moment something questionable comes up, the moment they're troubled by something, they're just, oh, well, God can handle it. God will help me understand this. And even if they can't understand it, they still just say, well, that's the way God wants it to be, and I guess I just can't make any judgments about it because, even though I don't understand it, God understands it, and he has a reason for everything, and it's out the window, so I can stop caring. And I think a lot of Christians go through this process because it seems pretty common among especially new Christians, where they're just finding out that the world isn't as great a place as they think it is. I mean, because in America, most Christians think, the world is beautiful. Look at all the trees. Look at the sky. Look at all this luxury and this wealth, and they have nothing to say about the starving children in Africa. But I think my point in this video is that the farther someone goes into a religion and the deeper they get, they start to lose their touch with themselves, with their logical and reasoning intuitions, and they start to forget that they ever had cognitive dissonance, because despite knowing that there are things wrong about what they believe and that it doesn't match reality, they continue on anyways, to a point of usually no return. And that's what happens when people know that something doesn't make sense, but they have to accept it anyways.